I want to talk to you about Resonate, and the long name here is Resonate Recordings. It is a podcast host, so we want to review this podcast host, look at the pros and cons, the pricing, the functionalities, everything. Here's a bird's eye view I want you to pay attention to. So when you think about Resonate, I want you to think about an easier way to start podcasting for beginners, but also experienced players. I mean, if you are an experienced coach, you're an experienced speaker, you want to have an online presence, and you want to start in podcasting, you can use the Resonate recordings, not a problem. And we love the fact that everything is comprehensive with Resonate. In other words, the platform gives you the idea that you have an all-in-one service. This is really good. So you are able to do all kinds of stuff, including monetizing your podcast. This is really good. And the cool thing is that they will help you also with the branding. They will help you with scalability. So this is cool. This is really cool. So when you think about Resonant Recordings, I want you to think about an all-in-one production and editing service and platform that also offers podcast hosting. Okay, so they started actually doing production, podcast production and editing, and then they actually morphed into a podcast hosting. And Resonant also offers a podcast production, marketing, and editing services, each with an individual price tag. So it's one of those things where you kind of have a menu and see which one works for you. And so this platform, in our view, is best for podcasters with money to spend and no time to spare. So if you are really busy, you want to really come out very strong with a professional level kind of work, then Resonant Recordings might be the best spot for you. Company was actually they actually started 10 years ago in 2014, and it's one of those things where they're actually, and what we love about Resonant is that every single year they're adding new capabilities and new functionalities to their offer. So this is really good, and so the platform brands itself as an all-in-one solution that will take you all the way from writing to distribution. Their services are broad and varied, each itemized with their own individual price tag, and so they have a browser-based platform as well as an iOS app for recording remote interviews, managing the production process from your phone. So this is kind of cool in terms of giving you scalability, in terms of giving you operational flexibility. So if you're a small podcaster or a big podcaster, you only have an iPhone, you can still do some recording and upload your data to Resonate. Fantastic. By the way, boss, I want to quickly welcome you back to the show. It's really, really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. Let's analyze Resonate in terms of should you go for this player or not? Well, first of all, you got to look at pricing. As I said before, pricing is an important element in any podcast adventure. Now, Resonate is not cheap. Okay, I'll speak about pricing later on, but the way they price their services, it's kind of like a menu. So it's a la carte. So you have an a la carte sort of process here. So you choose what you want, and you just get you paid for it. And so you got to look at the pricing. You got to look at analytics. Resonant actually, the platform gives you a level of depth and breadth that we love when it comes to helping you track and analyze how your podcast is performing. So you are able to pay attention to key stats and analytics around engagement, listeners, demographics, and more. Also, Resonant has a media player, an embeddable media player that helps you actually get the quality, the video and audio quality that you need. File hosting is what Resonant does. I mean, they do it as well. That's really good. And we're talking here about lossless file formats such as WAV also. Distribution, Resonant can help you with that as well in terms of having like submitting and distributing your podcast to different directories, including Spotify, but also Apple Podcast and also Google Podcast. Monetization is another area where Resonant can really help you out. I mean, they're charging a lot more, but they also helping you. They're adding value by making you make sure that your ROI is positive. So you're able to they can contact sponsors on your behalf. They can negotiate ad rates, and they can really do ad placements too. So this is kind of cool. So that's something we love a lot. And the team at Resonant is pretty professional. They've been in business for more than 10 years. They started also, even before they set up the company, they were in podcasting too. So they kind of have some kind of background context, if you will, when it comes to podcasting. So it's always good to be in good hands, so to speak, because you want to make sure that the provider understands the industry and understands how to speak to podcasters and has been in their shoes before. So when you think about Resonant, I want you to think about the like a one-stop shop for podcasting with an added edge. Resonate not only consolidates disparate podcasting tools and solutions into one platform, but offers production services and consultancy that allow you to take a step back from the podcasting process. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Resonate Recordings podcast host. What is the value added here? So basically, Resonate actually adds value to your could add potential value to a podcast in several ways. First of all, they do podcast recording, so remote recording also possible in web or iOS apps. So the cool thing here is that they will take care of it for you. I mean, if you want Resonate to substitute as a backup sort of team for your podcast, that's totally possible too. I started by saying to this conversation that Resonate is really for those podcasters who have money and no time. So no time to spare. If you have money, then you are basically outsourcing your podcasting operation to Resonate, so to speak. They also are pretty great when it comes to producer services. So Resonate actually has a wide area of producer services depending upon your needs. Also depending upon the kind of industry you're in. They might actually they might advise you based on your target audience and see what kind of works in your industry. They also provide audio production services. This is kind of cool because they actually come with a full, like a sleek set of production services. They also have, so when we talk about audio production services, we talk about the whole 9 years, everything, sonic branding, audio marketing, and so on and so forth. They do video production services for YouTube only. And they started doing this also for Vimeo. So they will do it for Vimeo also. They also have a podcast launch services. So basically helping you launch from A to Z. Basically, they'll take care of everything in terms of the pre-production, post-production, and during production. They also have they have podcast marketing services. So they'll help you actually elevate your brand. This is if you try to really elevate your brand. They actually offer podcast hosting. I've said this before. So they allow you to host your podcast on their platform. They also have solid podcast analytics. So we love the level of depth and breadth that Resonate brings to the table when it comes to podcast analytics. It's just fantastic. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about what? We are talking about the Resonate Recordings podcast host. I want to talk to you about pricing here. So when you think about pricing, you can see on the screen here that Resonate wants you to call them because they do not want to publish the pricing on their websites. But basically, we did do some research and we were able to gather the pricing for you. So basically, they have a basic, premium, and professional sort of pricing tiers. For the basic, this will set you back 25 to $50 per month. And here you have unlimited episodes, unlimited downloads, unlimited show users, analytics dashboard. You have detailed embed player analytics, embed player, live chat support, and so on and so forth. And it's one of those things. The pricing I'm giving you here, those are for podcast hosting only. Okay, it is very difficult to give an exact number of how much Resonate costs because every service is itemized with a specific price tag. But here we were able to gather the hosting prices. So the basic is 25 to $50 per month. You have the premium, it will actually cost you 49 to $65 per month. And this is actually the same as basic plus podcast microsites and dynamic ad insertion. That's for the premium. And for the professional, you have the price on request. So it's one of those things where you have to contact Resonate for them to actually quote you specifically. And in terms of the features, you have everything in premium plus embed player branding removed, live chat, Slack, and phone support. You have premium podcast microsite themes. You have private hosting, private Slack channel with the Resonate team. That's just fantastic. So when you think about Resonate, the catch with this platform is that you basically, the podcast hosting subscriptions, Resonate, like they really work with a lot of packages that are not really clear. And it's one of those things where you have to really understand. You have to make sure that you have the possibilities there for you in terms of everything that you do, everything that you actually take care of. Okay, so the platform is on the pricier side with fewer features on offer. However, if you want to get access to Resonant's main USB and unique features, you need to be ready to pay for every single. Let me give you the pros and cons here. So I first want to talk about the advantages of Resonant. So you have a tool that's very easy to use. Basically, Resonant is designed to be the opposite of a clunky or cluttered podcasting tool. It is very sleek and modern, and it has it's a delight to use, meaning you can concentrate on the important tasks rather than trying to navigate the platform. We have convenient all-in-one solution. So for podcasters who value convenience over all else, Resonant has got you covered. You can record, edit, mix, and distribute your platform directly from Resonant. Note, however, that each step in the process has a separate price attached to it. You have embeddable media player, so the Resonant embeddable player, customizable for certain users, means that you can share your podcast with listeners outside of the major listening platforms. All data from the player is translated into actionable insights and metrics that you can access from your Resonant dashboard. You have collaborative working, so Resonant caters for big production teams by allowing you unlimited team members on your account, even from the most basic hosting subscription tier. You have one-click publishing and distribution, so Resonant takes the stress out of publication and distribution, reducing the whole process to one click. You have podcast websites, so Resonant actually refers to podcast websites as microsites. These are available as part of the premium hosting subscription or as a separate item starting at $9.99 and $50 per month for hosting. You also have private podcast hosting. This is also possible as if you have an additional subscription fee, if you're paying that, you can choose to create private podcasts either for internal organization purposes or for paying subscribers. We have local and multi-track recording. So when you record with the Resonant Recorder, it will automatically record on individual tracks for each participant. Local recording means that your audio is unaffected by dodgy internet, and with multi-track recording, you have the more creative freedom possible when it comes to post-production. You also have expert advice on every aspect of podcasting. So Resonant offers expert advice and consulting on every facet of the podcasting journey. So this is kind of cool. So whether you need advice on your equipment and recording setup, custom podcast cover art, and unique jingle, or you want to outsource to a professional post-production team, Resonant actually can really do a lot of stuff for you. So those are the advantages. What about the disadvantages? Well, it is expensive. So Resonant pitches itself at a fairly high price point that may not be accessible to all podcasters. Every service and item has a specific price tag attached. You can't monetize directly, so although Resonance provides they actually provide for dynamic ad insertion, there is no integrated monetization direct through the platform. You can upload ads to the platform to be dynamically inserted when someone streams your podcast. There is no video podcast, so Resonant does not support video podcast. You can record video podcasts with the Resonant Recorder or upload them to the podcast host for publication. What about the features here? So when you think about Resonant, what kind of features should you be thinking about? Well, you have the remote recorder. This is the one powerful feature. You have the Resonant player. You have the DAI. You have private hosting. You have a podcast direct setup. You have launch packages. You have producer services. This is really cool. You have audio podcast production. You also have video production. You have podcast marketing, and all those services they are priced separately. I just wanted to specify that. So when we talk about, for instance, remote recorder, to use the Resonance remote recorder, it's at $20 per month. There's also a 30-day free trial, or if you have spent more than $5,000 with them in the past year, you qualify for a year of free usage. So with a subscription to Resonance remote recorder, browser and iOS, you get unlimited recording time, up to 10 guests, faster workflow, record, mix, and host, all from one app. Local recording, multi-track recording, progressive uploading, automatic cloud backups, and live chat support. The Resonant player is kind of cool. So depending on your Resonant recorder plan, you will get access to an embeddable media player that you can customize with your own colors. So the Resonant Media Player records and reports all listener interactions and engagement to give you an in-depth look at how your program is performing. And the DAI Resonant allows you to manage your existing ads and insert them into your content using their dynamic ad insertion technology. All you need to do is upload the ad audio to your account by creating an ad and choose where you want the ad to play, pre, mid, or post with specific timestamps. You also have private hosting. So that starts at $99 per month for up to 65 users. So if you want to create an internal organizational podcast or a private podcast feed for paying subscribers, you can do this through a Resonance private podcast hosting feature. You can choose to create a private RSS feed, a unique subscriber RSS feed, a password protected microsite, or embed your podcast on a secure site using the Resonant authenticated embed player. And private hosting includes all very high levels of security and privacy, analytics and listener metrics, and the ability to work collaboratively with the team, and access to Resonant's API to automatically add subscribers. And you also have podcast directory set up. This will cost you about $4.99, and also launch packages will cost you anywhere from $2,000 all the way to $6,000, with a myriad of different services such as onboarding, podcast artwork and music, directory setup, 1-hour podcast consulting, audio and video, trailers. This is just fantastic. And for producer services, they can help you in the creation process by co-writing scripts, editing, adding music beds, collaborating on content, outsource the hardest tasks. Fantastic. So what is our verdict here? Is Resonant Recordings really worth it for you? Well, to answer that question, it's all about if you have money, because Resonant is not cheap at all. It's one of those things where you got to have the cash. If you are a beginner, if you're a newbie, Resonant is definitely not the platform for you. You cannot afford it, okay? And you do not even need their services. So Resonant is really best for podcasters who have money to spend and no time to spare. This is actually how we think about it. And so looking at Resonance at a podcast host, its packages are good but fairly expensive. It's likely you'll be able to find a better deal with more features included elsewhere. So considering Resonant holistically with all its services, features, and products, it's safe to say that this is a great platform for podcasters with a big budget but little time to spare. So if you're a creator who's committed to developing a high caliber professional podcast from the ground up and are willing to outsource, Resonant will handle everything from start to finish. And as long as you are willing to shoulder the hefty bill at the end, it will work with you, not a problem. So to get started with Resonate, sign up, request a quote, and fill in the form on their websites. Schedule your onboarding call to learn about Resonate, how it works, and the features available to you. You want to meet with your personal producer and work with him or her to create unique, customized plans. If you are only interested in the podcasting hosting, you can actually give their platform a try by starting with a 14-day free trial first. How do you actually remote record a podcast with Resonate? Well, remember that in order to be able to use the remote recorder function, you will need to sign up for an additional $20 per month subscription. And so you want to log into your Resonate Recordings account, click on Recordings, and then start a recording session, and then follow the prompts. Pretty straightforward. And to get started with the Resonate iOS app, pretty straightforward. Also download it. Go to iOS, the Apple Store, and download it and follow the prompts. You can also migrate your podcast to Resonate, not a problem. So actually migrating your podcast to Resonate is quick and easy. And so it takes about 5 to 10 minutes. So you need to sign up for a Resonate hosting. Head to the Resonate feed importer and copy and paste your RSS feed URL into the box. Click import and then continue. Once migration has been completed, don't forget to redirect your RSS feed over to Resonate and to update your RSS feed in all your directories, including Spotify, Apple, and Google. You can also distribute your podcast using the Resonate, not a problem. But they will charge you a little more though. So they'll charge you additional $50 per directory. And so you also have a Resonate podcast analytics. You have everything from daily downloads, total downloads, top episodes, geographic location, percentage played in the Resonate embeddable player, and embed player engagement. Fantastic. Let's talk about the rivals here. So when we think about resonance, what kind of rivals do we have here? Well, we have a lot of them, not a lot of them, but a few of them. You have Anchor, you have Buzzsprout, you have SoundCloud, you have Podbean. So let's first talk about Anchor. So Anchor actually, though Anchor and Resonant are both all-in-one podcast solutions, they have very different target audiences. Anchor is free. By the way, Anchor is now called the Spotify for podcasters after they got bought over by Spotify. And Anchor is free for all podcasters, regardless of the features they are using. Resonant, on the other hand, puts a price on every single service. So if you are restricted by budget, Anchor is the clear choice. What about Buzzsprout versus the Resonant recordings? Buzzsprout doesn't offer recording capabilities, though to use Resonant's remote recorder, you need to pay an additional fee. This means that podcasters looking for creation capabilities might not find what they're looking for in either of those platforms. When it comes to pricing, Buzzsprout actually offers different subscription tiers. They have monthly upload limits. The most comparable plan to a Resonance basic subscription at $25 per month is $24 per month for 12 hours of upload. Given that with Resonance you get unlimited uploads, podcasters who don't want to worry about that, it's just better to go with Resonate. We also have SoundCloud versus Resonant. Now, the key difference between SoundCloud and Resonant recording is that SoundCloud is not just meant to be a podcast hosting and distribution platform, it is a streaming platform. Okay, so though pricey, Resonant is still built for podcasters by experts in the industry, which may make a difference for some creators. And then what about the podcast versus Resonant recordings? When comparing Podbean and Resonant recordings, the starkest difference is the value for money you get with each platform. Podbean offers a $9 per month subscription, which gives you really unlimited hosting, a podcast website, and monetization options through their ads marketplace and AI dynamic insertion technology. By contrast, with the Resonance basic hosting package, you don't get access to that many additional features. So it's one of those things where you have to see what really works for you. Okay. So as a podcast host, Resonant offers unlimited episodes, team members, and hosting for $25 a month. However, this basic subscription doesn't give you access to that many of Resonance features, such as microsite or an embeddable player. So if you are a creator on the hunt for a new hosting platform, we bet you could find a better deal elsewhere. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Let's recap to this conversation here. So this was a Resonant Recordings podcast host review. So I gave you the bird's eye view, the approach, the value added, the pricing, the pros and cons, the features, the verdict, the rivals, and finally the recap. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.